Well, we were in America, living our dream, basically. For me, that was the best time of my life.
When we started going into studios and stuff in Germany, they were always like telling us, oh, don't do this there, like the runs. Can you sing it straight? And we're like, no.
The Germans were not open to this kind of
Music. My sister is talking about the best time of her life, and I left 2006. So this, I can't say it was the best time of my life.
If I haven't moved to the States, I would never be the same person as I am right now. See, that's mostly coming from non-Germans. A lot of people that know us from somewhere else, they see what we've done.
Absolutely.
But the Germans themselves, they don't know.
I'm sure there'll be a few people watching this podcast thinking, what exactly did they do?
Yeah, exactly.
This conversation is brought to you by Brim's Bottles, African inspired. Get yours today at brimsbottles.com. Now back to the show.
Morning.
Hi, good
How are you doing?
morning.
Very good.
I'm so happy you're here.
So
I really am.
so
Really,
we
really
Made
am.
it, finally.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming.
Yes.
So, let me paint a picture.
Mm-hmm.
2006.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing for Lambeth basketball team in London.
Okay.
We had a game in Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
We're driving towards Cambridge, and we slip in a CD. Obviously, to listen to music on our journey.
Uh-huh.
And your song comes on.
It
And a
did?
friend of mine was a huge fan
What?
of that song in particular.
Wow.
Oh.
And obviously, I think at that time R&B was going through a little bit of a renaissance. There was a lot of
Mhm.
R&B songs coming up. I can remember a few Beyonce songs and you guys and a few songs going on. So the song comes on. This guy is singing it
What?
to the rafters. That was the first time I heard that song.
So cool.
Wow. Is this
Needless to say, after that, most of our journeys, if we played that CD, that song was on there.
Oh my God.
Wow. And it takes like almost 20 years for us to find out about
To find
this because-
So, question
wow.
for you.
Okay.
How were you feeling during that time?
Whew. Well, we were in America, living our dream, basically. I was feeling amazing. It was one of the best time of my life.
Mhm.
For me, it was I still look back to those days, and I still reminisce. And yeah, for me, that was the best time of my life.
Well, now almost 20 years later is like, it's interesting because my sister is talking about the best time of her life, and 2006 was towards the end before for me because I left 2006. So this, I can't say it was the best time of my life, even though it's a lot of experience I would never want to miss. No experience I would want to miss, but at that time was already for me the end of that journey.
That's true.
Okay.
So if you say 2004
Okay,
or
2004.
2,
Yeah.
that I was all in the excitement at that time
era,
before, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because I think it also back then before the internet days, it took longer to swap over. So if you heard it 2006, we did it 2004 or
Yeah.
something like that. That's like that. It took longer. So I'm surprised people over here, even in Europe, even got to listen to this stuff. So it wasn't the easiest time for me at that point because I was already shaky. Like, should I stay or should I go, and this and that. And then I got pregnant, and it made everything easier for me.
Easy decision.
Yes, yeah. It made the
So-
decision easier.
It was crazy for me to find out first time we met that you were actually from Germany. I wouldn't have imagined in 1,000 years because the look, the sound, the vibe, the aura, everything said the United States.
Well, besides
I
my
think-
accent.
Because we've been influenced by it
Yeah.
so much, even as little kids and as teenagers. The only influence that we always pulled from was from the US. We never had like idols over here or people that we looked up to. It was always from over there. That's why also we decided that we want to go and pursue this over there because this is what we love and this is what we look up to. So that's why we decided to go.
Yeah, I kind of get that because from Ghana, that was our experience was always based on the US because that's all we had on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first went to the UK, I actually had an American accent,
Yeah.
and people thought I was American.
Well,
So I get that. But I think what's amazing to me is, for example, if I give you an example similar to you, I'll say Craig David for an example. Craig David was from England, and when he made his way into America, British people were over the moon for Craig David, and we were so happy that Craig David was able to do that. That didn't seem like it translated for you in Germany.
No.
Why do you think that was?
I mean, first of all, because the internet had just started, but I remember the first time we came to New York, we had to call our mom from a phone booth. So we didn't have cell phones at the time.
Yeah,
so that means we didn't have the cell phones. There was no Facebook, no Instagram, no TikTok, no none of that stuff. That was 2002 when we first got there. And neither one of us had any of these devices. Nobody used it at that time. So we're old. So that is one thing that most of the people, I think, didn't even know. But then also, there was a different wave at the time here. One of the big reasons why we left, like, the whole pop stars thing. I don't know if you know about this, casting show. And it was all very, like, in our opinion, very popish. And the experience we've made here, like, when we started going into studios and stuff in Germany, they were always, like, telling us, oh, don't do this there, like the runs. Can you sing it straight? And we're like, no. Because we were,
I think that's the
like,
problem.
And
the Germans were not open to this kind of
music.
That's
and
also,
to be honest, especially if I compare to these days where you do see even people from Europe or even Germany with these talents and this different approach, because it's more international now. But back then, I feel like they didn't get it yet. To be honest, like, because that's what we heard. And even producers who were successful here told us, oh, you can't sing it like this. Or when we wanted to do 3-part harmony, I mean, it's three girls in a group. We wanted to do 3-part harmony. That's what we grew up with. But they said, oh, no, can you just do unison and stuff? We didn't like that stuff because it was no challenge. It was always bringing you down in a way, And I feel like, first of all, they didn't know about it. Most of the people didn't know about it. They were on a different trip at that time, and they didn't get what we were trying to do. Like the whole R&B thing, we had to go to a place called VOM, World of Music back then, and get 1 CD a month that we could afford if we put our little allowance together and buy 1 CD and study that CD. Something I still tell my students today, because they want to learn how to sing, you got to learn how to listen. Like you got to just buy
greats.
one thing and don't skip and skip and skip and skip and skip on Spotify. But just buy one or listen to one album, even one song a month in a row, because that was our biggest teaching, I think. That was our biggest teaching. Listening to one thing 1,000 times.
And who would you listen to the most?
Back then?
Yeah. Well, for me, it was Brandy.
Brandy
and Janet Jackson was my biggest idol. Yeah. But performance wise, it was Janet, and vocally it was Brandy for sure for me. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, since there was just one device, we all listened to that. But I think our other sister, it was very much into Mariah Carey, so we studied all those albums.
Of course.
And I was into those people too, Whitney Houston, of course, But then I discovered pretty early neo soul, and the first albums from Erykah Badu, from Jill Scott, and those people were really like got to me. I even got goosebumps now talking about it.
I can see it.
And this way we all had a little she had the crazy performing acting, dressing stuff, and it was very into the big vocals and the perfection and stuff, and I was into the grooving and that was kind of cool because we all liked what the other person liked as well, but we kind of found our own specialty in
brought it
these
together
genres.
Awesome. So at that age, in such a huge world, what were some of the lessons you will take from that time onwards that you still think you carry today?
Oh gosh, great question. I have to think about it.
So many things. I mean, you have to be a bit more specific because nowadays I'm a mom, you know, I'm a teacher, I got teenage sons, and I'm looking at it from such a different angle than I did like 10 years ago, 20 years ago when I just got out and stuff. So, but for us, at least for me, what followed, and this is something that's probably different from a lot of other people that have came with their whole African descended family here, and us being just, you know, German and African mixed, even though this is a word that we don't use these days, but you know what I mean. Like we didn't have that family, that Black family behind us. So you know, for me, it was like this whole identification thing came later. We first just turned to something that could, you know, somehow that we could identify with. And back then it was really just sports and music. Sports and music over here in Germany. If you're not traveling constantly every year to your home country or something, which we didn't. This was our home country, and this is all we knew, and we had to turn somewhere and nowhere to be found. And you know, so I think a big lesson is that if you envision something in front of you, like if you want it enough, if you're brave, you can get there. Even though it sounds, while I'm saying it, it sounds kind of, you know, I wouldn't want to say that to my son because we were naive. You have to say this. Nowadays, I would feel like way more things could happen. Way more things could happen. It was, I mean, if we're looking, we were like, oh, we're 19 now and we can do this.
You're old enough.
But now I see my son is almost 19. I'm like,
I was going to ask you, if your son was to say to you, Mommy, I want to go maybe do sports or sing in the States, what would you say to him? That was what the angle I was going to kind of give to you.
I couldn't be mad at him because even though a lot of things have changed, a lot of things haven't changed. And honestly, he's at that stage. He has 2 more years of school ahead of him if he goes through that. And I don't know if he can. I mean, there's more things to being possible right now over here in Germany, but I don't see everything for him, all the options that white Germans have. He doesn't, at least not to the same conditions. Yeah. You know? Even going to university and stuff. I mean, this is a whole other field where I'm drifting up now. But
no, it's part of the experience.
But I'm still like, I'm wondering these days, like, should I, because he's kind of good in school. He's okay. He's good in school, way better than I was. But I'm like, should I tell him to go this university direction and get a great job with all the money when that means you have to fight extra hard? Because what we experience leaving school early and going through this music stuff and the music world was to a great part, it was welcoming. Because they welcomed us. Not only Black musicians, but especially in the States, the Black world, the Black musicians, they welcomed us. So when 19, we came into a world that mainly, it was dangerous a bit here and there, but they welcomed us. They were loving. They loved us. They adored us. They wanted us. Like all this stuff. We haven't experienced that before. Yeah, growing up here in Germany. Yeah. So I don't know if I should tell to myself, you have to be tough, you have to be hard, you have to stay to make that money. Or if he said to me for some reason, he is artistic, he is very artistic, he plays piano. If he wanted to do this, if I was saying like, no, you can't, it's too dangerous. Because we did experience a lot of joy, a lot of appreciation, a lot of all this stuff. Yeah. I don't know if you...
Yes, absolutely. That was the biggest thing, like coming into this world and just noticing what life can feel like because we didn't feel that over here, never, ever in our teens and as a kid. So just, I don't know, it was a kind of a complete switch of this is what life is supposed to feel like for me. Wow, I am somebody, I am wanted, people love me. Like we never felt that as kids. So that's why
How was your upbringing like in Germany?
It was very nice because we had a beautiful family, mom and dad around, and we had a nice little house with a garden. So the home was very, very great.
Cozy.
The home was great, but soon as we stepped outside the home, it was always for me very uncomfortable. I felt like I'm different. I'm wrong. I'm not I'm not supposed to be here. Like for me, it felt like something's off the whole time as I was outside. But at home, it was always great. But yeah, I don't know what else to add to that. But it was just a weird stepping outside of home.
I remember and talk about it as that home back then being our little like fairy tale castle, the safe castle, because our mom did it so cozy and nice, and she taught us all these artistic things. She's very like she can draw and stuff. Everything was colorful. Everything was improvised. We never had much money, you know, barely any to be honest, but we didn't feel that way because there were so many things to do. We were climbing the trees. We were watching a little like bugs and stuff. And it was like a fairy tale world. Like it was no internet at all.
Yeah. When you had to make your own
It wasn't
fun.
even TV program. Come on, it was Sunday. The Sendung mit der Maus. This TV show was 30 minutes. That's all we had. And there was a lot of creativity.
Yes.
You know, and also our dad was working night shift, so he would be there in the daytime. So it was a very, you know, tight, close family bond and a lot of freedom too. Very little, very few rules. You know, so but a lot of freedom. So we wouldn't have much program like I see these kids nowadays. They go to sports, they go to tennis, they go to music class, but we had nothing in the afternoon. But free space. You know, and that's why everything that even up until the instruments we're playing is self-taught. The singing, the 3-part harmony, everything we learned is self-taught, because if you give my experience, if you give the kids that sort of freedom, they come up with creative stuff. They really do. I mean, I'm working with kids today. They don't have that freedom at these days. But even if I can manage to do that in that hour and get their own, so. I want to say we're very spoiled with that freedom. And after that, it was tough out there, especially here in this country, in the system, in the school system and stuff, to stick to so many rules. And even in music class and stuff, we didn't do too well because the approach, like learning, sitting down with the notes, and then you have to. It's not how we approach art, you know.
Do you know why? Or, in your opinion, what's the reason, or do you think that you are, till today, you are seen in Germany for what you've done and what you've achieved? Because obviously, I get it. Back then, maybe it was a little bit of different time, but till today, because I recognize what you've achieved, even though I'm not German.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I mean?
But
No,
see,
for real.
that's mostly coming from non-Germans. What you're saying right now. A lot of people that know us from somewhere else, they see what we've done.
Absolutely.
But the Germans themselves, they don't know.
I'm sure there'll be a few people watching this podcast thinking,
they don't.
what exactly did they do?
Yeah, exactly. Of course, a lot of
They
people, most
don't.
people do. I mean, except for those few older people and the few people that were into black music back then. You know, you call it black music back then. I don't know what you call it now, but that's what they called it. And those few people who were into that, they might have heard about it and got a record or even like, you know, CDs like you talked about earlier. But I gotta say though, our hometown, Hamburg City, has shown us love.
Okay.
You know, those few people that did know about it, they all showed up last year when we did a reunion 17 years later.
Cool.
It was more people than we expected. It was sold out right away. You know, they showed us love, and I didn't expect that. But at the same time, I think it was just before that time. And sometimes I'm wondering if it's a good or bad thing, but I think it's mainly a good thing. I wouldn't want to... I'm sure if there was Instagram back then, it would have looked different for us as far as success,
Probably.
you know. But at the same time, it was so exciting to do it without, because.
But you say that, but I think, because I pay attention to a few German musicians, black musicians now, and there is Instagram now, and they are still not appreciated as much as they should be.
Yes, I don't know what it is, but that's true. Because there are talented people out here, but nobody gets the recognition that people, if they were coming from the States, they would be way bigger.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
Yeah. And I think if they were able to do now what you did in the States, they will probably, Germans will probably look back at them and think, oh, wow. But while they're here, I don't think, because
While they're here, you're right.
Exactly.
You
That's
are
why
right.
also a reason why we left, because we knew we have to come from over there to be appreciated here.
Yeah,
Because if they know we come from here, we're like, okay, and what, you just want to be Destiny's Child, or like want to be. But if they think you coming from over there, then they're like, wow.
Yeah.
It's a
I don't
weird
know.
thing.
It's
It's a weird
crazy.
thing that you have to do some more research on why it is like that, because it's true for some reason. And yeah, it's a bit sad, but I think also you would have to dig so deep into the psychology of it, of why, because we all, like, we grew up, I'm in this field now, so with my organization and stuff, we grew up in this, situation where we didn't even know exactly who we were. Like most of us, I'm gonna just say it. We didn't know who we were, where we belong and stuff. Like especially those mixed kids. Our parents did the best they could, but they could, most of the time they couldn't. Nowadays, the woke days, as we call it, or should no longer call it, I don't know. They have been far away. They haven't been there. So our parents did our best, but we did not know who we were, and we couldn't even have a sense of sisterhood or something. This is starting to grow now, which is a great thing. It's starting to grow now, but it's something that we didn't have at all, like community. Now, those few people that I see this with my Black friends who grew up in the African community and the maybe church community or something, they had that, but a lot of us, the mixed girls, the mixed kids, they didn't have none of that. They were standing like, and you couldn't even, sometimes you didn't even like the other Black person because of the way the others treated the Black kids. It's a weird, like, and I don't know if that's, I'm leaning out the window right now with my theories, but it's something we haven't even gotten through yet. We're just starting. And for a lot of us, including myself, only 2020, George Floyd and the big movement really put it all on the table. And we just, I'm not going to say everyone, because few people have been into it for years and decades, but a lot of us are just now starting to see that we had a special, unique upbringing that, nobody could explain nothing about. And you just try to manage or survive somehow through it,
Yeah. It's fascinating to me. I mean, this is part of the reason why I started this podcast, because I wanted to explore the psyche of Black Germans and understand, because I feel like I've seen some of this behavior in the UK, but that's like 15 years ago or 20 years ago when we were we're kind of unwilling to really support our own.
Yeah.
But then we would see that in little steps, we started creating our own genres. We had the grime music, we had the garage music, and then we started appreciating what we had. So when somebody did something, till today, when someone does something and it blows up worldwide, we're like, yeah, that's us, And in Germany, I speak to people, and even when I say this, I think I say this on every episode. Even when I refer to Black people in Germany or Africans in Germany as Black German, I get pushback like there's no such thing. And I'm like, well, there should be, if there isn't, because that's the reason why I would say that in the UK, Black British people have been able to achieve things, because collectively we've understood that we need to be a unit. And I think for me, that's part of the reason why you haven't got the recognition that you deserve, because people have not come together enough to realize that this is us.
Yes,
like
true.
This is us. What they did, we can do it.
True.
And I see German artists now, and it's like they're still going through the same thing. And it's like, what do you think will make that change?
Well, this my sister's laughing, but I think it is starting. It is starting. You doing this is starting it. Me having my little organization is starting it. I've just been to a beautiful event in Hamburg where there was a choir singing and also a lot of soloists, mainly Black. Young people, half my age. And it was so much love and support. I was surprised. I went there because some of them were my students back then, and I knew some people, and I didn't expect, like, when I came from far, there was a long line, and I was like, oh, can we even get in here? It's like really crazy. And this whole energy that night was so, like, I just noticed from the States, you know, it was not, it was so loud and vibrant and stuff. So I think these last few days that last few years did something to a lot of people. And I also, the young generation, I do have a lot of hope for them. I work with kids. I work with people. My kids are that age. I do have a lot of hope for these kids. They were loving, like, I don't know. It was like something I wish I would have had in Germany 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago. We didn't have that. And it was hundreds of people there. And it wasn't even a big advertisement or a big company behind it. Like, it wasn't no big event. It was just that community feeling that I felt like, okay, this person brought their 2 friends, this person brought their 3 friends, told 10 others, and you had a few hundred people there. And that really, it gives me goosebumps right now, and gives me hope, honestly. And sometimes I even see, and when I speak to young people, that they already have a better confidence and a better support system and a better community altogether. And for that matter, even though I'm still not a fan of the social media for some reason, I'm just a bit too old for this. This social media thing is great for this matter.
Yes.
For this matter. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Jazz?
About what? I forgot the question.
About the idea that it still seems like there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of.
I also see that it has changed a lot, for sure. But me personally, I don't know. I'm still, I don't know. It's just a personal thing. I'm still not feeling it. Like,
You're still not feeling the vibe of the unity?
Not at all.
No.
I'm not. I've moved back here in 2011, and I kind of was forced to move back. I never wanted to move back. And I've tried to, get into the scene again, also with music and stuff, but it never clicked for me till this day. I have given up on the music thing from here. I still want to do music, but I've tried so many things with people over here, and it has never worked out for me the way I wanted it to. So I don't know. I see a change happening with the young people and stuff, but for me, it's not.
We are not the young people.
Yeah.
To be honest, even though she looks like my sister, definitely looks like she could be, but our kids are those now. But I gotta add to this, in defense of all our community and all our brothers and sisters out here, it also has to do with the fact how the German society views artists. Because that was also different in the States, at least, and even in other countries that we travel to. Oh, you're an artist, okay, interesting. Tell me about it, and can you? And here's like, okay, can you live off of it? I'm sure it's not. It's still that attitude from the it's still an attitude. So that affects also. It affects a lot how society, no matter if we feel like we're part of it or not, but it still affects a lot. How this society views artists. It's more like a little gimmick
hobby
or something. It's like a hobby. Oh, you're doing that? Okay. It's like it's not like that. Interesting, or wow, exciting. How did you learn? Like I feel way less out here, because most of the time it's skepticism.
Yes.
From those typical, especially if you meet like business people. And for quite a while, I have I have my little solo project still, sometimes more, sometimes less, doing jobs, gigs, whatever, with my little band. And I'm sometimes playing in these hotels where you meet those rich white people who do totally different stuff, business world, and the way they treat it is like you're just delivering something. It's not that artist exchange that I have experienced in other countries. It's like more like, okay, you play here, here's that little spot, and people talk around, and they just want you to be their background, and it just, I stopped doing these hotel gigs because it makes it feel so unappreciated.
Like just some background noise for them to
some background noise that they can talk over. I mean, it is really true that this society views artists as something not serious. Unless you are one of the few who is very successful selling out arenas, which in Germany I think is 5 people or less.
So in terms of your lives in Germany now, well, you've explained that you're still not really with it. But if you had something, one thing you can pick that at least keeps you motivated, what would that be?
Well, one thing is my kids, of course, my family. But my job is one thing that I really love, and that definitely gives me a lot of joy. I love what I do, but of course I miss the music because I don't do it at the moment. I miss that part. But another thing, I don't know.
I think, I mean, kids, yes, obviously. Kids are always just the most motivating things. But in terms of still trying to, even if it's your job, still being here and still trying to keep yourself going, what do you kind of see in the near future that keeps you moving towards, if it's a goal or something of that sort? Because I don't know, I was going to say there has to be something, but there doesn't have to be something. But if there is something that keeps you going for yourself and your career.
No, I don't know. I always just look forward to my next trip to leave.
Oh, traveling.
Yes, because out here, I don't see big things happening for me.
Well, you're not a fan of Germany at all.
I don't see big things happening for me over here. I don't see it. I don't know.
I've seen a lot of people in Germany have that similar attitude. The first gentleman I interviewed for this podcast, he said the same thing to me. He said to me that if he hadn't moved to the UK, he wouldn't be where he is today.
Absolutely, for me, true. If I haven't moved to the States, I would never be the same person as I am right now.
And there's that mindset where people feel like we need to kind of leave Germany in order to make something of ourselves. But funny enough, I see a lot of opportunities in Germany. Maybe I'm being naive.
No, I'm with you. I'm more with you. That's how it's so funny how sometimes, even though we've spent so much time in our life together, my sisters and I, there's such big differences because I wouldn't say that, even though I do have a lot of criticism and weird energies in this country, I still love this country, dude. I'm just like, I love Germany. I can't say it no different way. And I'm complaining every day about, don't get me wrong, I see all the problems. And especially right now, we're heading towards not so good times. I don't want to go towards east, not one, footstep. It's a lot of big problems. And I don't know what the future holds for us, but I can't blame, I can't help but to say that this is still, I'm still part of this, and I see, even though I call myself, like, most of the time I say Afro-European instead of Afro-German, but I am, like, in a way, and also I have a few deep connections with people here, mainly, of course, also people with a background like mine or similar backgrounds. But even white people here, I'm in a relationship with a white man. But also the system, like, I do like the fact that at least it might be crumbling now too, but we have a support system here socially, I gotta say it, that I've seen people struggle seriously in the States.
Oh yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And I hear stuff about the UK. I'm not really familiar with the UK situation, but at least as of right now, and for the past few decades, they have been supporting these people. Like, it's not that it might, I don't know what the future holds, but I got to say this because it is the fact that our kids can go to the doctor, whatever it is, no matter where you come from, what your background is financially, you can go to the doctor, you can go to school, you can go to kindergarten. Other people struggle, even in a rich country like the States. That's, for me, ridiculous. Like, how can you, and it's millions of people. It's not those few who don't, it's millions of people who can't get by. you know, and these are factors for me, you know, not because I'm constantly, you know, taking advantage of it, but just the fact that we are in a country where at least every child can, you know, go to school and stuff. This is something that somebody did right at some point in time, and I
the
hope
social system
you
is
know
very, very good in Germany.
this is they are trying, and a lot of things, especially if you're looking into politics here and there, a lot of things are where you're wondering, like, what are they doing? They don't know nothing about the reality of us, and especially minority groups and stuff. But at the same time, I do see people trying, and I like the also some sort of, even our father, you know, bless his soul, he read a lot of German thinkers. He read books about German thinkers, and I like the way some of these intellectual Germans are going deeply into something. I mean, I gotta say, they do it because they can afford it. You know, they are privileged enough to have that time and money to go deep into a specific direction and think about it in detail. I like that stuff. That's just me. I like the stuff, and you know, but. Yeah, I get it. I get everyone who doesn't feel good. I get the energies. It's a lot of areas that I don't like to go, even in my city. I don't like. I like my little like corner and stuff. I like. You have to know where you're going. I feel sorry for my sons a lot of times because they don't really have that friend group. They don't have that. They are home a lot. They have their cousin, who's my sister's son, and that's it. Basically, they don't really have. You know, I mean, a lot of people like them. It's not that they not like, but I guess they feel the same way like we did back then. Something is not safe, or something's not free right for me here. They don't have that group yet. It's not easy to find, even though we are in 2024, and you would think things have changed. But I see a lot of similarities to us in that age, and so I do share the criticism, but I still have love, and there is people, and you know, if it's a few people even, you know, that you have, that we all, this like kind of like we're in this together. I have these people, and if you have people wherever you are, that you have this we're in this together feeling, that makes it a lot more.
I have a funny relationship with Germany. I like Hamburg. I don't know if I would like anywhere else. I like Hamburg. And I think German white people, I think are better when it comes to being friends than English people. So the race relationships in Germany, I think, is better than it is in England. However, I'm not saying Germany is more racist or anything. That's not the case. It's not more racist than the UK. But I still feel like the problem for me in Germany is it still doesn't feel like a community. Regardless, not just the Black community.
True.
Outside of your friendship group, everybody seems to be concerned about their own thing. And there's so much rule following that everybody is like,
that's it,
structured in their own direction. So for me, as much as I enjoy living here, I don't know if I prefer it to London, if not for the fact that London is a bit violent, and I wouldn't want my kids to grow up in there. But other than that, so Germany for me, so that's why I look personally at the Black community for some sort of community, and even they don't have it. So it's kind of like, what are we doing here? So
I get it.
I totally feel that.
I get it, but I gotta say, like, just looking at my life, we talked earlier before we started this podcast. You said you would talk about like you're having a summer party at your backyard or something, and I'm thinking to myself, I hear this from people, and I you know, kudos for you to do this. I'm like, I don't have time. I wish I did. Really? Like, you know, for me, I know a lot of people. A few are privileged to have like weekends and stuff, but I know so many people who are hustling constantly here. At least this last year, since COVID or something, like all my jobs, and at least I have a few jobs that I like or even love, but some are really stressful also. Like, I'm doing a lot of different jobs. So, you know, I'm like, I don't have time for this. And this is another thing. I don't know if this goes for everybody, but also I see a lot of people that of course, we have sometimes a Sunday or a free half a day or a nighttime. A lot of people have to just sit on the couch and scroll or look into their
TV.
phone. Like, I don't know. I feel like the times are overwhelming for a lot of people right now.
That's the reason why you have to do. That's the reason I personally like to do little things like have a party. And,
Yes,
just
it's
unwind.
So
I'm a fan of live music.
Yes,
like I go to live music events when I was in London anyway, and London there's millions of every weekend. I go to live music events and just kick back.
We don't have these.
There's none here. I went to one at a place called Birdland.
Birdland. I played there. I played there twice.
It was,
it was my best concerts that I played in this city that I liked best. It was cozy, but that's one of the only few ones left. We did have a session every Friday for a few years, which was great. This was the only session where a lot of people came out, and it was really like the closest thing to a American session you could get. Of course, not that level, but it was fun. But for some reason, it stopped. I guess money. We talked about earlier. People don't want to pay money.
Pay for things,
and it is a fact that I played a lot of gigs where I did not charge because I wanted people to come. So I was like, if I charge 10 or 15, and
that is very very sad.
Yeah, it is sad because. It is sad because, and also this whole thing about, I don't know if people get it, but being an artist in this country is like a luxury that you afford yourself as the artist. Like you put because you never come out with great money. You're happy if you can pay your musicians a little bit. It's like, that was my experience, even though, you get a gig for, I don't know what people think, but you have rehearsals, you have practice, you have, equipment, you have...
It's a lot.
It's
super what's going on. So, Jazz, where would you rather be?
Where would I rather be?
Yeah. And what would that look like?
Well, in this other world where I feel more appreciated, more like I'm someone, like not just, I don't know, for me it's also has a lot of stuff has to do with the past that I haven't really, it's hard to explain, but for me I haven't really done what I wanted yet. So and I feel like over here I can never reach that what I really want. So I kind of feel like I would have to be in that space with my twin together. That's also a big thing for me, that I feel like I need to be successful together with my other half.
Yeah.
It's
is that what, could that be something that's part of, because you feel like there's a part of you?
It's definitely part of it, that I always had the picture that, we're successful together and not separately. But that's a whole nother discussion. But definitely, since I kind of gave up music, and that's kind of what I still want to do, and I feel like over here I can never. That's why I feel like I would need to be where the people are. That.
Do you mind me asking what's stopping you?
Family, kids.
Yeah.
My husband, my man.
Yeah.
And money. Visa, stuff like that. Because I always choose family and love over success. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, I've occasionally, I'm not in a hurry, but occasionally I've said to my wife we should move back to Ghana.
Wow.
And if it was up to me, I'd move back to Ghana.
Right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel more at home there.
Yeah.
And what's stopping you?
Family, wife, kids.
Right?
Yeah. She's not necessarily stopping me, but there's more background work that I have to do to convince her that okay, we'll be fine. But yeah. I kind of.
Yeah.
How should I say this? I feel for you in a way, because I can see you will be something that you'd really kind of like to explore before anything.
Yeah. And like time is ticking for me.
Ticking.
Like, we're not getting younger. So I feel like, damn, okay, right now I'm in this, the day to day is okay. I'm happy with my children. I'm happy with my family and with my job, but it's not going anywhere for me. It's just like this the whole time.
Do you visit? A lot.
I visit. Right now I'm planning my next trip actually in October, maybe, hopefully. But yeah, it's always just a couple of weeks and then I'll be back.
Wow. I mean, for me personally, I just think I know it's hard. It gets harder when you have family, but I'm a dreamer. I believe in chasing like your dream, like going for it 100%. My uncle said something to me the other day. I don't know if this relates to women as well, but he said to me that as a man, sometimes you just have to chase your dream and do what you have to do and apologize later.
Oh, wow. Okay.
See, but as a man, it's also easier because you're not, when you're a mom and like, I can't just leave for 2, 3, 4 weeks with my children. But like, if I was the dad, I could just go for a month and it would be, the kids would be fine with the mom. But for me, it's like, it's just, I can't even leave for 1 day, 2 days right now because I have a little one. But once they get older, maybe that will be possible. But right
hold
now,
on to it, man. Hold on to it.
Yeah.
I think you should hold on to that little spark. And whenever you can, just.
And also for me, it's so hard because every day I get asked like, when are you guys reuniting with your twin? And when are you guys doing, all of these things that people want us to do together? It's like you get asked every day. And I'm like, yes, it's hard. It's not that easy.
And how does she feel about Germany? If she was to attempt something,
it's a no.
I would imagine it'll be a no. I mean, it's like going backwards, isn't it? Yeah.
Even though for some reason our nieces that we barely see, unfortunately, since they live in Cali, they always talk about Germany. You want to go, and they just last night we have a sisters chat, obviously. Just last night, our sister said every time our little niece sees pictures of the family, she cries and says she wants to move to Germany because that's where her family is. And that's so touching because she does have family in America, of course, from the father's side. But that's that thing we've been talking about now for the past 5 minutes. Family is a big thing. And ask people, people on their deathbed, I sometimes dig into that because everybody wants to know what real happiness is. And they always say family. You want to have a working, loving family. So I'm saying to you both, because you both have this, I want to hear now. I'm saying to you both, if you choose family and love over others, you will have family and love.
Yeah.
And it's also, I'm sometimes also, maybe that's why I feel different about it. Like I said, I share all the criticism about this country and everything. But I'm also kind of like politically interested. I think that's all it is. I don't do much, but and this world has serious problems.
Yeah, this world is going to shit.
Like, and a lot of people, I'm talking millions, if not billions of people, are suffering hell. So I'm always like, when I have these feelings and I'm like, I'd rather be there and it would be so nice. I want to be laying on the beach, or if I could make way more music and get paid. I'm also always putting that into perspective.
Yeah,
and this works like that for me because the fields I'm working in, I see a lot of things that are happening to people, to our, our people, which I think is everybody on this planet. Our people are suffering. The planet is suffering, That's always where I'm looking from. I'm looking from that angle. So therefore, I feel like, okay, Sophie, stop being pitiful for yourself.
Yeah,
you are in luxury in your little 2-bedroom.
Germany is also a very family friendly like country. Well, Hamburg at least is very family friendly.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of. I think it's Hamburg. Especially on a day like this, and we're sitting outside for the first time here, it's green. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that it's green. And I remember, because my sons are now teenagers, they don't go to playgrounds no more, but I'm sure your kids, you can go to green spots everywhere. Yep. Parks. Yep. There's a playground, everywhere. There's a park, there's the water. This is beautiful because this is something that really, influences our energetic level if we have that option, especially in the summer. Winter is a different story.
But the thing is, though, I hear that, and I like the fact that we get these things in Hamburg. But I used to work in LA, in California, Cupertino.
Okay.
And if you ask me right now, where would I want to be now? It would be, I know everybody hates this, but I would love to be in a car on a highway in California.
Oh, me
sunset,
too.
just driving down the highway. So I feel what you're saying, because there's a vibe in California that is just
it's the vibe.
like something else. I couldn't live there though.
I get it.
6 months, I'll have to leave.
And why is that?
Oh no, I could live there.
Maybe not, because okay, Cupertino is boring.
Mm-hmm.
That is where San
Okay.
Jose, Cupertino. That's where I
Okay.
was.
Mm-hmm.
It's boring. There's not much to do. Maybe San Jose there is stuff to do, but after a while, it's just American. In
Mhm.
America,
okay.
for me,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
it's a lovely place that I enjoy going to, but I don't know if I can stay there with everything that goes on.
Yeah, see,
I
that's the
get
same
it.
with
Yeah.
my man. He wouldn't
Mhm.
never want to live there.
Uh,
That's why.
It is crazy what's going on there now.
yeah, the
And
political
I
climate and
understand that.
everything.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's really.
But in terms of vibe, oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
But then again, you've been talking about Ghana, and I mean, I don't even think we've mentioned it, but our father is from Senegal, and that is when you talk about vibe, it's a different,
Oh, yeah.
a different, completely different vibe
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And this is more like a deeper,
Yeah.
because that cruising on the highway is that Hollywood,
Yeah.
video feeling,
Yeah.
but that is more rooted.
Yeah.
What at least what I experienced, and like I never lived there,
Mm.
unfortunately, but I could, but I never lived there. But when I went there, it's that rooted vibe.
Mm.
For some reason, it's a switch right away. I don't know how you feel because
I
you
mean,
grew up.
the crazy thing is, and I only realized this since I moved to England and Germany. Going back to Ghana, when I step in Ghana and I move around for a few hours, I just realized that you have no thoughts about racism. Like,
Right.
there's nothing like
Uh-huh.
here. You're the privileged one.
Uh-huh.
Well, obviously, there's obviously people there struggling and
Mhm.
all of that, but everybody's like you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just feels very
Mm.
much like home.
Mm-hmm.
Like very, like you're saying, very grounded.
Mhm.
You feel at home. Like you can get up and go anywhere without thinking twice about am I wanted here,
Yeah.
like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
for me, I could spend 3 months in LA, 3 months in Germany,
Yeah,
and
that
6
would-
months in Ghana.
That would be good. Good plan.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people share that, that wish or that
Mm.
idea. But it's not the world we live in.
Yeah, it isn't.
And I know there's a very few people. And the problem
That do.
is, I'm like here, that moral, I don't know what. I'm just, the problem is we see those few exceptions who live that life.
Mhm.
That 3 months LA, 3 months South Africa, and then you just hop on the plane and we view them as the example. But those are
The exception.
those are exceptionally exceptional.
I don't believe that.
Yes, they
I don't
are.
believe that.
I mean, how many people are there? Like, honestly, on this planet? And how many
the reason
people
why I
live
don't
that
believe
life?
that is because we've assumed that if we want to live that life, we have to live it in luxury. You can live that life without living it.
Okay,
Ah,
well,
you're
that
right.
is true. Okay, well, that's different.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but most people want that luxury as well.
No, not me. For me,
Okay,
I'm really grounded. Like I said, Cupertino is boring, and
Okay.
being on the road in LA for me is the vibe, the music that's playing.
Yeah,
on the
and the
tape.
stores.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Stuff
just
like that.
little things like that. It's not
Okay,
the
good. Okay.
shiny things for me.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying to Jazz, like, hang on to it. I'm a dreamer. Like,
Okay.
I'm a
Me
dreamer.
too.
To
Okay.
the point where I even have big dreams for Black Germany, which is
Yeah,
which is a hell of a
thank
thing to
you.
have. Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, you can, though, because things are changing. And
Mhm.
like it is always, like the processes we go through inside, it takes time. It does take time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It does take time.
It does.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, can you both give me an idea of where you are with your journey and what makes you, and you're probably gonna say kids, but what makes you feel fulfilled in this moment in yourself?
In this moment. Wow. Oh gosh, that's hard. I'm not completely fulfilled.
Uh-huh.
That's why it's hard for me to say. There's always this piece missing for me. But of course, the kids, of course, the family, and just knowing me and knowing myself, who I am, and yeah. But like I said, I'm not completely fulfilled. Not even maybe 70%, 60 maybe. I don't know. There's a lot missing in my life right now that where I would be like, and yeah, I'm on top of the world. No.
As long as you know what it is and you can, you can at some point see yourself working towards it. What about you, Sophie?
Well, I have been privileged and blessed these past few, I want to say at least 5 years, to do a lot of inner work. And I suggest to everybody, no matter if you think you're already doing great, to do alternative healing forums. I'm a practitioner of the heart healing thing. Like, that's my thing. I just like to really, it's basically the same my sister said, know myself, beyond all this, all these experiences we made, including the experience we're making in our home, but also in the country with racism, with everything. Beyond that, like that is really fulfilling to know myself and to know what I really am supposed to be, why I really act this way right here. Like, this is really satisfying me, and I'm still on a journey which will never end, most likely. Of course, my children, my loving relationship. I have a healthy relationship finally after a lot of other situations that's been growing on for 8.5 years. Gives me a lot of joy. I have deep friendships, of at least a handful or more deep friendships. But also the community works with the children, even though it'd be exhausting a lot of times. I'm not gonna lie. I'm wondering every week, why am I doing this? But then now I'm sitting here talking about it gives me joy. Like, I don't know. It's just I guess I'm sticking with it for a bit more longer. It's just, these little kids, these little black kids out here, man. I don't know. I mean, first and foremost, my little niece, my sister's little girl. She is the most joyous thing. Like,
yeah, that's true.
And
I've met her, actually, haven't I? Yeah.
You wonder how into this world, being little creatures born that are full of joy. With even the parents not being full of joy all the time, because life is hard and stuff. And you wonder, how's that possible? And it's the thing, like, it spreads so much, I don't know. This is a blessing. And also see people like you still trying. We're all trying to do our little part.
Yeah.
I'm in a positive mode right now, and musically, I'm planning my concert for a change. The first time in a year, a little concert. Just 2 weeks from now, my sister's gonna be joining me nicely.
Where's it gonna be?
It's gonna be in Eden, a place where I also work in Altona here in Hamburg.
Oh, okay.
And I'm playing a little concert there, and just which is a luxury. It's my luxury that I barely do these days. But I have my little jazz combo.
I'll be there.
Please come. You're absolutely invited. And it's for the first time I'm playing it a bit more jazzy. Everything.
Is it September though, isn't it?
Yes, it's September. You have a lot of things in September, I heard. Maybe.
Yeah, but we're going to Ghana in October.
It's coming up. It's coming up. But this is something I don't do all the time. Who knows what comes after this? But I felt like I can get out here again as a musician. I think it's hard if you have regular jobs or just jobs that are not music, and then at nighttime go on stage and put the dress on and be like, it's so weird if you just put emails and just did, a lot of talking on phone and stuff, because we used to have this lifestyle of only doing music and dresses and expression and stuff. And now that I'm doing all these different things and being the teacher and that's why I have had to stop sometimes, take pauses and breaks, because I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. Like, I was like, I don't know. I feel like I'm stressed and I don't know. Or even like if you're a mom and you just change a diaper and then you gotta go. I know people do it, but ask people, and there's even documentaries about it now on Arte. I think this French. I think they have a great documentary on mothers in music or art. Oh. It is almost impossible to do it in a without completely freaking out. It's not just us or us not being able to manage it. It's like almost impossible here in the system. So Yeah, but we're taking it. I'm taking it, day by day, week by week, and I don't know. These days are unstable.
Yeah.
These days, anyway.
That's a good way to look at things, to be honest. I mean, for me, my motto has always been to be as childish as possible.
Cool.
That's my motto. Just stay childish.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what keeps me fulfilled. As long as I know that I haven't lost that childishness.
It is
Inside.
It is.
Yeah.
And your kids remind you of it,
Your
and maybe
kids
that's
remind
why
you of
I'm
it as
still
well.
teaching, because they make it easy sometimes also to imagine, oh, I'm this, I'm a princess today, I'm this today, I'm a firefighter, and it's just to know you can do this. You can
be anything.
Yeah.
Be anything. Awesome. It's been, as I expected, it's been amazing speaking to the both of you.
Same.
Thank
you so much for having us.
I think probably in a later season, I would love to have a conversation with you again, see where you're both at.
Sure.
Catch up again. You're amazing. And for me, I still feel like if nobody else does, I think your achievements are like something out, because I've had friends who've tried, and I've had friends who've succeeded, and they tell me how much work it goes into getting to that level, and how difficult it is to not lose yourself. So for me, I recognize that. So
thank you so much.
I've your music meant something to me. Like there's a point in my life when I heard your songs over and over again, and that time in my life is etched in my brain. So when I noticed who you were, I was like, no. Well done, man. So I'll give you your flowers. Well done.
It means
You've done quite a bit. So
thank you so much.
And thank you for doing this one more time. Not just inviting us, but with all the people. Let's move closer together, y'all.
Yeah.
Everybody out here.
You should. Awesome.